Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So, first off, I want to remind everybody we're going to have a special live stream on Sunday. It's going to be called the Spooky Stream because we're going to be talking about Halloween and horror comics and other entertainment media. So be sure and check that out. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm really hyped for that. So in the spirit of that, I wanted to go ahead and start looking into some of the older DC horror books. Now, House of Mystery and House of Secrets do have definitely some horror elements to them. This one I did look into and I like a lot, but it isn't really all that scary. So it's a pretty good issue though. It's more of an adventure, I think, but it's got monsters and whatnot. So I definitely understand what they were going for. So the writer on this was Jack Miller and the penciler was Joe Certa. So this issue is House of Mystery number 151 and it came out in June 1965. So there were some interesting things I noticed that were different reading an older comic compared to newer ones. Now, a lot of these books back then were definitely longer than they are now, so I'm just going to review the first two stories. This one's pretty cool. Part 1 and 2 involve the Martian Manhunter. So we see him on the cover there, and the cover is very vibrant and colorful, and I imagine the pages were too originally. Unfortunately, this copy is very faded. In any case, you see what's gonna happen there on the cover, and I like the cover. I think it's really bright and colorful and looks good. So we'll go ahead and start off on the first page. It's a bit of an introduction to what's gonna be happening. It says John Jones, Manhunter from Mars. Two fantastic creatures threaten the downfall of the famed Manhunter from Mars and the destruction of Earth. Hurtled into another dimension while battling one menace, John Jones seems destined to be trapped there, unable to cope with the doom from two worlds. So you can see it's obviously newsprint, and I kind of wish they would consider using newsprint again. I know Alterna does, but these older books, they're like 40 pages a lot of times or longer, just regular comics. And I think part of the reason for that is that it was more affordable to print them. So you see here too, this little orange dude is named Zook. So apparently the Martian Manhunter had a little sidekick buddy for a while named Zook. So on the next page, what you see there is Zook looking around for the Manhunter on the beach, and guy comes up and talks to him. And Zook's like, who is he? And this was a cool little transition. I liked the effect there, but you see that guy changes back into the Manhunter. So the Martian Manhunter has his classic look there. He's changed back, and all of a sudden, you see this purple monster comes flying down at him. So they assume it's from this, what do they call it, an evil Idol-Head? So this evil idol, Diabolu, apparently would create monsters just like at random, and that was like a plot device, and it would send them out and the Martian Manhunter would have to fight them. So they assume that's what it is, and it's kind of cool. It's just like a mythological creature. Like, this story really seemed to me like it could have been a Greek myth with, the Manhunter being Hercules, essentially. But what happens is this monster, it's kind of cool. It shoots an eye beam, only one of its eyes, but it shoots a laser, and it's attacking his little friend Zook. So the Manhunter picks up a giant boulder, throws it at him, and actually blocks the beam, so the laser beam. So I thought he was going to throw it at the monster, but he used it to block the beam, and it caused an explosion. So then there's a pretty epic fight between the Manhunter and the big purple monster. So you see that here, he's hitting him and knocks him back. It's pretty cool. So then the monster has this other ability, so he opens up a big portal. So you see it there, it's all colorful and whatnot. They had obviously less colors to work with back then, so there aren't as many colors as in the newer comics, but I think they did a really good job with what they had. So the portal opens up, and Manhunter goes through it, and so does the monster. So they end up on this other dimension where the monster came from, and they're still fighting, and there's a cool little bit here where it shows Manhunter's heroism, because the monster tries to blast him and it hits a tree, and the tree is going to fall and hit a house. So John Jones flies in and stops the tree from hitting it. Good little bit there that they included. So then there's this weird scene where these inhabitants of where they are, the aliens I guess you could call them, shoot the Martian Manhunter with this beam, and it turns him into a monster like the other purple monster. So kind of random. And I like this expression he has here when he's changed. It's like he looks like a nice guy even though he's a monster, you know? So, kind of interesting. And they continue fighting even though they're both monsters. And he says that he could have taken the hits better as J'onzz Jones. So, he would have preferred to stay as J'onzz Jones. Oh, and he can't change himself back. So he goes over to the aliens that changed him into it and, you know, asks why they did it. And they said they did it to protect him because they figured if they changed him into the same creature that it would stop attacking him. And then they explain that they created the creature too. So then they freeze it and change it back into what it was originally, one of these little red creatures. So I don't know. I understand why this is called House of Mystery. It's kind of mysterious. And yeah, so J'onzz Jones, they're gonna change him back, but their machine's damaged, so he has to go back because that Idol-Head actually did send out a monster like they thought it would. And it's this whole fire monster thing you see flying around. So then there's a few pages of ads and then little bonus comics and stuff too. Like, these older comics were really fat and included a lot of bonus material. So then we're back to the main story. The fire monster's going around, setting the forest on fire, burning houses, and Zook apparently has some powers of his own. So he uses his ice powers to put out the fire on the house, which is pretty cool, little endearing scene, but he can't do anything about the whole forest fire. So there's this really silly part too where Manhunter comes back, but Zook doesn't know it's him because he's stuck as this monster. So he uses his beam to write on a cliff, "Zook, take care. Zook, take it easy." So Zook figures it out, but I was just kind of like, was that really necessary? It's like permanently etched into a cliff. But anyways, he flies after the fire monster. And they don't say this, but I presume it's kind of better for him to be in this form than his Martian Manhunter form, since he's fighting a fire monster. Like, I assume, we know the Manhunter is weak to fire, so that would be a problem, I would think. But anyways, he keeps hitting him with his one eye beam. It knocks the fire guy back over and over, but it isn't hurting him really, so he ends up deciding to open the portal. So he throws the fire creature in there and chases after him, and the fire guy automatically starts burning down the people there, their stuff, but they have that special beam to freeze things, so that's what they do. They freeze the fire monster and then change J'onzz Jones back. And he flies back and Zook's there and it says the end. It's all happy. So it's just kind of a cool, adventure action story. It wasn't really scary. I was kind of expecting it to be more of a horror book. I'm definitely going to be looking into more spooky stuff. Maybe I'll have to go with DC Ghosts or something. That's definitely going to be horror, but the monsters and whatnot were pretty cool. And yeah, I just thought it was really well written and drawn. Now, there was another story at the end, a third story. It doesn't have anything to do with the Martian Manhunter, but it's called The Man Who Saved a Monster. So if anyone's interested, I could probably review that part too. And yeah, that's all for now. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. Would you like to see more reviews of these older comics, or should I stick to looking at newer ones? Alright, so that's all for now. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell for notifications. And as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.
End of line.